Good morning and welcome back to the Orange Stage on day 2 of ETL 2021. Thank you very much for being with us, both in the room and online. We've got an amazing session coming up in a second with Mahogany Jones, looking at the hybrid event production moving forwards and the opportunities in that. Before we get started, I did just want to start with a couple of bits of housekeeping. The best way to listen to these sessions is using the headsets on your chairs. Once the session is done though, if I can ask you to possibly leave your headset on the seat of the chair so that we can clean it and replace it ahead of the next session. The other thing to mention is that because of the hybrid nature of this show, we are taking questions online through the Glisser app. There's a couple of ways to access that. The first of those is by scanning the QR code, which is over my left-hand shoulder at the moment. I'll move out the way so you can see it. If you can raise any questions that you have through the session, that would be amazing. You can also access that app using the URL glsr.live/ETL21. If you are watching online, there is also a little plus button in the bottom right-hand corner. If you click on that, that'll give the opportunity for you to raise questions, as I mentioned. We've had some amazing sessions over the past couple of days on this stage, and I've got no reason to think this one is going to be any different. I will allow Mahogany to introduce herself and the session in general. Yeah, all the very best. Thank you very much for being here and presenting Mahogany.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning to our virtual audience. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your time here with us today. I'm Mahogany Jones, founder of Event Specialists, based in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Super excited to be here at my first ETL Live. I think it's a great show, and it's a huge opportunity for us to share with our fellow event tech lovers out there. So today's session is really about hybrid production, and the title's a little misleading. It does say Event Production Beyond 2020, even though we're in 2021. To be honest, I feel like the dumpster fire that began in 2020 forced us all to panic when it comes to production. It caused us to panic on the content that we're delivering. How are we going to move our events online? This word hybrid that, truth be told, we've been producing hybrid since 2008, became this buzzword of what is next, and that is the next step. When I'd like to say hybrid's been here forever and a day, but now all of a sudden it is what we need to do to survive. But with that, I do feel like a lot of great has come from the pandemic when it comes to events. I know we feel like we've lost our identity almost, but to be fair, I feel like the rise of event content and the rise of great event production is really where we are today. So what have we learned about events after more than a year in the pandemic? I would have to say that the reminder of content is king is really what comes to mind. What we're seeing right now in the world of production is that we're focusing more on the delivery. I mean, TEDx has done something well for a long time. So if we even take something from that playbook when it comes to production, that allows us to really deliver the content that we're looking to deliver. I mean, everyone keeps saying we have Zoom fatigue. We have all of these things. I mean, we're talking about production, and we're looking at the live audience right now in the virtual space. The production and the delivery and how everything is being perceived. Think of your production as that orchestration. I know we get super fancy, and we always worry that all of these extra costs that come with production, we have to hire more AV, we have to hire more lights, the technology, all of those things. But how can we make it work for us? And how can we make it work better? To be fair, there is no Zoom fatigue. There's no concert fatigue. There's no Netflix fatigue. So why all of a sudden are we worried about the content that we're delivering in the virtual event space? In my opinion, it is really worth reconsidering the content that you're delivering. What are the goals and objectives of your event? How are you looking to meet your audience demands? And lead with that when it comes to your production. Lead with what you want your audience to see. I mean, I have very simple slides today. I like to say we like to lead with the video content that we're delivering. We have the opportunity now, truth be told, there's a lot of industries that have lost their jobs in the last year and a half. Borrow from them. How many broadcasters lost their jobs? How many people in the exhibit space have lost their job? Personally, I've reached out to them to help with our production so that we can step up our production game so that we're delivering the best we can deliver on our content. And then digital first. I like to say that pre-pandemic, everything when it came to hybrid was almost an afterthought. So we were so focused on that in-person experience that we forgot what the virtual experience could actually look like. What instead we would do is literally focus on, oh my goodness, we've sold out our in-person event. How can we extend this online to reach that extended audience without really thinking of that delivery and the content that we want? In my opinion, leading with digital first will allow us to truly be prepared for any changes in the industry. It will allow us to be prepared to deliver the content in the way that we see fit and the best that we would like to see it delivered. So really consider your in-person setup and your stage and all of these things. I mean, your extra lighting that you want to put in, the AV and all of the tech. And then make sure that you're prepared for your virtual audience so that you can deliver the content that you would like to deliver it in the manner that you see best fit for your audience. Now, I have my friend here, Dahlia Alghazar, the famous Dahlia Alghazar.
I'm your sidekick.
Sidekick as well, partner in crime. So tell me, what are you seeing when it comes to hybrid and the production side?
When it comes to production, what I'm seeing, which is a missed opportunity, is a refresh on the strategy from the get-go. So going back to the basics of who your audience is, what audiences you want to bring in, because this is the golden opportunity to find new audiences, new attendees, and really understanding what they want as a journey, what they want as content, and get to know them. So those that don't know me, but those actually that do know me, if you want me to attend a show, serve me white cheddar popcorn. And there's some out there that actually do that. They know that from my registration forms, for example. They actually mail me white cheddar popcorn. If you do that, I will stay on and binge any content that you give me. And I promise I actually do that. So know the audience to a point of know them, how much time they have for you, know what's going on around them. Are they, binging your content from home? Do they have little ones? And there's ways to do that without being creepy about it, if you know what I mean. Do they have fur babies? All of these aspects give you insights of what kind of experience they want, what kind of time they're going to dedicate to you, and what kind of content they would want. So that becomes part of the strategy, that becomes part of the marketing and the experience. The other thing that I would say is the format of the content. Right. Because we keep going back to what is comfortable. Safe. We can't do safe anymore. Yeah. How many people binge on Netflix? Be honest, you're together. Okay.
We're among friends.
Yes, okay. We are. How many people binged Cobra Kai like nobody's business? Like that was like you take one season and you sit through it. How many hours is that? It was like, well, now I'm going to tell. So it was 9 hours for the first season with white cheddar popcorn. But what I'm getting at is you have to know the type and format of the content that your audience wants. If it's a senior type of attendees, CIOs, doctors, for example, they might want to have it be more of, research driven, maybe, right? If it's a younger crowd, it might have to be more on the shorter side. It might have to be where they have like almost, more chat going on, for example. So that is telling because that makes you design content in different manners. And the third part, which a lot of organizers are not really looking at, is the engagement part. So we say, oh, let's be interactive. That is not putting up just a Q&A feed or a chat feed. You need to have cheerleaders, and we just talked about that.
We did.
Yeah. And you need cheerleaders with confetti guns and with pom-poms. And I don't mean that in a silly way. I mean it where you need to have people there not only moderating the chat and Q&A, but lighting it up. And so what you're doing is you're trying to get people to create the content with you on the fly. Is that what you're seeing as well?
That's it. And let's also talk about the experience you're looking to deliver. So we talked about the cheddar popcorn and the Netflix and all of these things. One of my favorite tools to use when designing an event and getting all of the details together is a tool called the SSK method. And it's a start, stop, keep. We see it in business. We see it in our day-to-day operations. We use it as a team, but I like to apply it to events. And one of my favorite examples is we were doing a national marketing conference, and we applied the SSK method. So everyone's first thought is, we have to do exactly what we did in person online. It does not translate a one-for-one. And there is nothing wrong with redesigning the length of your conference, the size of your conference, the session type. So when it comes to the SSK, let's start with start. And for this marketing conference, they wanted to start to do more virtually. They wanted it to live better online, and they wanted their content to be able to be delivered in a hybrid format that was suitable to them. So they wanted to start with that. What they wanted to stop was the extensively long keynotes. They were known for their 90-minute sessions. Everything went 90 minutes, 90 minutes, 90 minutes. World's longest conference, I like to say. But what they wanted to stop was the 90 minutes. What they wanted to keep was the networking aspects and the great speakers. So there was two non-negotiables that they needed to keep. How did we redesign their event? The in-person event for that hybrid experience became the VIP session that also lended itself to have an in-person one-on-one with speakers. The next thing that we did for them is we limited all sessions to 20 minutes. So every keynote session was 20 minutes versus the 90 minutes. That allowed us to really polish the content. That also allowed us to have pre-recorded sessions within the programming that met exactly the needs of the audience. So we delivered 20-minute sessions that were either live or pre-recorded throughout the day. And then the networking that we kept, we made sure that there was networking functionality for both online and in person. So that also lent itself to making sure that we chose a platform that allowed us to deliver on those expectations. And overall, the conference results and the scores were a lot higher because everyone was able to catch all of the sessions, take in the 20 minutes. We also made sure that the speakers were prepped. I mean, I know that's one of those missed opportunities
Basic.
too. It's
People
basic,
think it's basic.
but we forget.
Yes.
So what kind of prep kit can you send to your speakers? What we sent is, this is your play-by-play. You have 20 minutes. We need 3 actionable items, and we need them to truly be actionable so we can take away something from your sessions. If you can't deliver on that, then you can't speak at the conference. I mean, we weren't that harsh, but literally that is what we put in their briefing so that they were prepared to deliver on our expectations. And also, I mean, one of my favorite things to say is really set yourself up for success. When you want those survey results to come back as all 5s or all 10s, whatever that looks like, tell your audience what they should expect. Give them what you told them they were going to get. You get high results. So if we said we're going to deliver 10 phenomenal 20-minute keynotes, this is what you're going to get. 3 actionable takeaways. Your survey questions were literally, did you get what you were expecting? Unless you didn't read any communication, they might say no. But for the most part, we told them what they were getting. And we made sure the content was delivered in a way that met them where they are.
Well, I think the idea of surveys and evaluations, it's not, well, first and foremost, there's a change here.
Yeah.
Because we have amazing virtual platforms and the production team behind the scenes, your evaluations of the content and the sessions don't have to wait until after the event.
Yeah.
So this is one thing that should change like immediately, because what you can do now is open the feedback loop around the event and during the event, and even in the chat. It's part of the engagement. The great thing about it is that you're not only evaluating the experience that they're having at the moment, you are also able to, in a sneaky way, help them create the next experience with you. What do you want to know? What do you want to do next time around? Yeah. Do you want more networking? What kind of content do you want? Are you a thought leader in a special topic? Do you have like maybe 5 other peers that are interested in topic ABC? Right. And the best part about it is you can easily say, okay, we have 15 people. Why don't we just open up a breakout room and you guys network on your own? And have that be like a side thing, for example, which, hint, hint, can also turn into a sponsorship opportunity. So this can happen on the fly. What you need the most is a production team that can think on their feet. No ugly crying in the bathroom if like the shit hits the fan, because it usually does. And that are able to like be creative and nimble as you want them to be. So the mantra of Event Tech Live and of production companies such as MJ's, and I call her MJ, but is you want someone who is a strategic partner with you. Don't look at your tech companies or look at your production companies just as providers anymore. Like really lean hard on them. Our brains are fried. I don't know about you, I'm fried. Yep. You don't have to think alone, and it's actually not for your benefit. Your benefit is to lean hard on your partners and ask them, what can we do more of? And I bet you $1 million, I don't have $1 million, but I bet you white cheddar popcorn, that they will tell you ideas that they have done in other shows. And this is what you want. You want production companies, yes, they can get the productions right, but they also need to help you with your KPIs. And I know that you have one up here, which is the RO, the return on experience. I'm going to challenge everybody to take it a step further, where your KPIs are by your specific goals. So let me explain. So for example, your content. Have KPIs only on the content, meaning what is the ratios of attendees binging live or on demand? And that's a KPI that you would want to track. What is the KPIs on the different formats of content that you are delivering? Anybody check out masterclass.com or know masterclass.com, right? So the best part about masterclass.com, other than the roster of fantastic like instructors that they have and the content and the topics, is the way they format their content. It's by modules. You could do video. If you're walking your fur baby, any fur babies, owners here? No pet owners? Dog. Cat? Dog. Aha.
The frown made my day.
Yeah, it's like, the mask goes, nuh-uh. Cats and dogs. But so they have their master classes audio format only, because people have stuff to do. You know, I'm a mom. My fur babies come before my kids. Anyway, MJ can relate. So I'm a mom Uber, starting 3 o'clock. But I still binge content, but it's audio only. And I'm able to bookmark and highlight the moments. And you want to be able to think as a consumer, think as your attendee, what you want them to do. Those that are dealing with older type of attendees, doctors, with all respect, you know, on the medical side, you know, engineers, for example, think of buttons, think of access. And so like this is where you become, you know, in a strategic type of mind, and you need your production team to play devil's advocate with you. Is it going to work for your audience or not? Because it's going to impact your KPIs. KPIs for your content, KPIs for your attendance versus those that are going to be like watching everything or attending everything on demand. So your KPI is just not one, what did you call it? Vanity number.
Vanity. Yep.
So explain the vanity numbers.
One of my biggest pet peeves is when our clients come to us. I'm also guilty of the same for the events we produce ourselves, with what is your goal? We want 5,000 attendees. Why? Because we want 5,000 attendees.
It's
So
not even 5,000 attendees. Some say 5,000 registered.
Yes. Well, I mean, I feel like that becomes the vanity metric when we're on a quest to just put bums in seats or people through registration processes without really quantifying or qualifying them as the proper attendee. So to me, yes, we have that number, and it's needed. A lot of KPIs in a lot of companies, it's your role to make sure that we have 75 registrants for each webinar, whatever that looks like for you. But truth be told, that's not the only thing we should be measuring. And that's where I struggle as a production company owner. Yes, I can make sure that your feed is delivered beautifully. Yes, we'll make sure that the design elements are all put together to make sure that it's delivering. We'll make sure that we pre-record all of the content. Your intro and your outro will be phenomenal. But if you're not prepared to actually meet the experience of your attendees, then it's really all for naught. So that's where I say there's a lot of these vanity metrics that we put into place that I'd like to reconsider the value and the weight that that actually holds.
Definitely. I mean, how many people have one of their measurements is registration number?
Yeah.
Period. Yes? Johnny's
There we
like,
go.
maybe? Yep. Okay.
There's
You're
a
going to
couple.
roll with me on this, aren't you? All right. Humor me on that one. So you have that as a metric. And then you go and all of a sudden you might have a drop of, what's the average these days? 30%?
30% now.
30%.
Yeah.
So you have 30% that log in. And so the moment they log in, you have to think very creatively on how the stickiness
Yep.
of the show. Meaning, how are you going to keep them on
That's it.
for the whole entire program? Day 1, day 2, day 3, which is hopefully not as long as day 1. But so this is so you have to think of it that way. Do you, part of the production is have the production team give you kick-ass ideas that will lend itself to the stickiness, and in the sense of what cool things can we do. And the coolness of it is not just to make you spend money, but it's also to have people stay on. It's retaining that attention. The retention of attention. Did you see what I just did there? It's kind of cool, right? That's a tongue twister.
That's so
The
good.
retention of attention depends on the production of the content, as well as plus engagement factor, plus the wow or surprise and delight factor that you give to your attendees. So like, for example, some coolness that I've seen is, breakout rooms, and you're in a Zoom, it's Brady Bunch style, right? You got 50 people, and you're trying to see, okay, who's eating chips not on mute, and who is taking notes, and all of a sudden, there is a cameo of a llama that comes right on the screen. Don't tell me that's not going to make you chuckle or turn your camera on or like say, oh my God, what the heck is this? That's a simple idea. But then the surprise and delight can be, a DJ or a show coming on, like you remember the Drag Taste Queens?
That was a good time.
That was fantastic. But what I'm saying is, obviously be appropriate with the audience that you have.
Yep.
The younger they are, the more surprise and delight that you got to get in. But that's part of you being creatively and strategically partnering with your production company. Because that run of show, if something is lost in between the run of show, and we've been there.
Oh, we have.
Yep. Where it can turn very quickly into a shit show. It's true.
It is true.
But you have to think of the elements, because right now, in the last 2 years, we have all been connoisseurs of virtual events. And we all become very critical of even live events, right or wrong? So your speakers have to be part of Hamilton for a hot minute in order to get your attention, or else you're going to lose them. You don't want someone playing Candy Crush on the side. You want them really focusing and engaging with what you're producing, either on screen or live, or blended.
Or blended. One more point before we get to our questions. I will say, when it comes to the production side as well, I like to look at the learners that we have in the audience, they're the attendees. So what type of learners are they? What type of attendees? And I say that from a point of education. I mean, we do a lot of educational conferences under event specialists. So for us, adult learners, I mean, there's stats that say 7 minutes is your attention span. So we like to make sure that we're designing and producing to match that as well. So we make sure that there is a shift on the screen every 7 minutes or whatever that timing looks like to make sure that we can keep our audience. There's a lot to be said for this educational content. I mean, truth be told, online education has been around for a long time. It was here pre-pandemic. So let's borrow from all of these industries and all of this knowledge that we have and make sure that we're using it to our benefit. All right. Let's do some questions.
Amazing. Thank you so much. My first question is, what is white cheddar popcorn and where can I get some? Because that sounds, I literally have no idea and it sounds
You don't
amazing.
have white cheddar popcorn?
No, they don't, because I've actually said this before, and
should
I
have
had
brought
to
you
send
white
the
cheddar
link
popcorn.
out.
I will accept that link and I will take it, and that sounds amazing. Right, we do have some proper questions though, so some things that have come in through Glisser. As I mentioned at the start, if anyone wants to submit questions, you can do that either for people in the room or people watching online. So I think if we start with the top question, seems like a logical place to start. And a question for either of you. How do you think speaker prep requirements will change moving forwards in this hybrid world that we're living in?
I mean, to be fair, speaker prep was there pre-pandemic, but in this hybrid world, I will say it's very important. So shout out to First Media. I will say, when we arrived today, they reminded us that there was an in-person audience and a virtual audience. And they reminded us to make sure that we were addressing both audiences. That's a very simple thing to do in your speaker prep. I will say rehearsals, especially if they're doing virtual side, is key. You need a rehearsal to make sure that all things work according to plan. And then also the one-pager. I mean, I like to do one-pagers to give an overview of the audience, the mission statement, and all of those things to the speakers so they know who their audience is.
I'm going to take it a step further.
Oh.
I'm going to say prep your speakers to design content different than they've designed it before, but give them the instruction to do it.
And the
Meaning, if they have 300 slides in PowerPoint and it's on clip art, you do not want that on your screens. So we have taken it upon us to help prep the speakers, not only on the tech side and all of that, but design content with them and make it as interactive as possible.
If they come with clip art, that might not be the right speaker, but just saying.
Clip art, just send me back a little bit. Amazing. Right, so if everyone is moving into delivering hybrid events, how's the best way to differentiate our events in that now congested space?
I will actually say that I honestly feel like this has been the biggest missed opportunity when it comes to hybrid. I actually love the micro event experience, and I have always loved the micro event experience. So I feel like hybrid has actually allowed us to design in that way. So we have an in-person VIP micro experience that you are delivering, as well as the virtual audience, but making sure that your cameras can also capture the essence of what that looks like. We're starting to see living room pop-ups, which I think is also super cool. So living rooms being the set for the in-person audience so that they are experiencing the content the same way as the online audience. So I think that's kind of fun too.
Perfect. And the final question, just before we wrap up, this has been a recurring theme actually on the Orange stage over the last couple of days, is great production, sounds amazing, but it also sounds expensive. So how do you make that investment in your product pay in the end run?
To be honest with you, I mean, I am the founder of a production company, and I feel like that's one of our #1 questions. The first thing they say is, we don't have budget, or we only have a minimal budget. To me, define what budget looks like and build from that. There are always ways to enhance your production, regardless of what the price is, to be fair. One of the things that I like to look at, start small and build up. To me, your biggest cheat when it comes to production is lighting. That is one of those things that I feel like is a missed opportunity too, that we always look at how can we make this fancy video reel, all of these things. Truth be told, you can find an intern to make some of these reels and intros to help you out. But lighting can change so much when it comes to production. It can change the look of your stage. It can change the feel. I mean, we're on the orange stage, to be fair, and that translates online just as well. And then you can build on that, build on your production. I mean, it doesn't take extra money if you talk to your AV company and make sure that we're adding lower thirds and all of those things for online. Your in-person audience, like I said, I mean, even put a plant. I mean, I feel like everybody overcomplicates for the sake of what they feel they can't afford. They look at Masterclass. I feel like that's one of my favorite examples, is Masterclass as an example of phenomenal production. But really, that's a 2-camera deal that we can do and then mix and cut and make it look like that for the audience. Like, there are ways around that.
Amazing. We are about to finish. I think there might be a question down there very quickly. Can you vocalize it?
Yeah, I was thinking about, I like what you mentioned, Dahlia, about, bringing surprise and delight, especially when you're dealing with a younger audience. But I'm thinking about, medical scientific world, when you most senior people, doctors, researchers, whatever it may be, and, it's really quite tricky for them to, get on the same page around the technology, around everything that they have to do. So, how can you bring an element of surprise, in this type of conference?
Can I just relay
repeat
that
the
question
question.
for people watching? So, you talked earlier about surprise and delight and that kind of thing, and you also mentioned in passing bringing that to something like a medical conference or something where that's maybe not usual or common. What suggestions do you have for dealing with that and coming up with ideas in that kind of space?
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of them are geeky in a very strange way, I would say. Not doing any generalizations whatsoever. But like, for example, have you heard of cameo.com? So like, think if you can get someone to do a personalized message for that audience, I think that would be kind of kick-ass. The other thing is, the surprise and delight is really something that addresses that you know them the best.
Yeah.
And that happens in the registration or in their profile. Even if you acknowledge the fur baby comment that I said, So how do you personalize it? If it's something for them that's going to give them value add on a personal level, that could be a surprise and delight. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be the drag queens, the most amazing group, in my opinion, from Portugal, but something of the sort that gives them a smile inside and out.
Amazing, perfect, thank you. Well, that brings us to the end of this session on the Orange Stage. Thank you so much to our speakers, to Mahogany from the event specialist. It's been amazing to have you here. I'm sure if anyone does have any further questions in the room, please feel free to pop up and ask them at the end. All I can ask is, as I mentioned at the start, if you have been listening on headphones, if I can ask you to leave them on the seat of your chairs before you leave, and hope that you have an amazing day here at Event Tech Live, day number 2. Thank you.